Welcome back everybody to the channel. Today we're working on this Z, like I had said in the previous video. In the previous one I showed you guys that we fixed the misfire, kind of sort of fixed it. We found what the issue was, that the connectors had come undone because the clips are all broken. Today we're going to be starting on doing the valve cover gaskets, the rear main seal, and the wiring harness. And we're going to be doing the wiring harness without removing the engine. We're going to attempt to. So right now what I've done is I pressure washed the engine a little bit. Not too crazy, but it does look a lot nicer than what it did a second ago. See, this is what it looks like now. And here's what it looked like previously. So there's quite a bit of a difference. Not perfect, but at least something nice to be able to work with. I'm not getting completely dirty every time I touch anything on this car. So I'm gonna pull this into the garage now and get it up on jack stands and up to my height a little bit. And we're gonna start with pulling the plenums, because whatever we end up doing, the valve cover gaskets or the wiring harness first, whichever one, I'm gonna need to pull the plenum. So let's get to that now. All right guys, so I finally got this thing up on some jack stands. So now we can get started on pulling the plenum so we can see how much space we're gonna have to remove the wiring harness. So let's get this plenum off with the quickness. There we go, plenum off now. So now that we got the plenum off, we can see that all the spark plugs have oil on them. Well, I think that one doesn't. This one does. But even after I pressure washed it, this thing is still super dirty. Anything I touch, I'm still getting dirty on it. So that sucks. But anyways, now that we got this off, we can see a little better how we're gonna get to the wiring harness. The wiring harness comes in to the card through here, runs along the firewall and goes along that side, and then part of it goes through the front of the radiator up here to the front, and then I think some connectors go on that side, but we'll go over that once we get there. I'm just trying to see right now what I'm gonna have to take off to get better access to the wiring harness. But since I'm doing the valve covers, and I think I'm also doing something with the heater, with these heater pipes, I should have plenty of room to work with. All right guys, so we're gonna start off with removing this nose panel. We're gonna have some of the wires in here. Some of them run through here, and then they run alongside the back of the engine, and they go in right on this side. So we're gonna start by taking this off. I already unbolted it. And we're gonna run these wires out through right here by the radiator. And then we're just gonna start working our way around the engine. All right, we got those off. Now let's see if we can figure out how to route them through this. Probably have to unbolt the radiator and just push it off towards the engine a little bit. That piece. Now the MAF. We got these off now. This wire was just a ground. Thought it was for the AC compressor, but it's just a ground. So now, let's see where we're at. Okay, there's the one for the AC compressor. Anyways, I think that's the last one we gotta do, and then we can move on to the firewall area. And that's gonna be the tightest area, because we gotta go behind some brake lines. We gotta go, behind some brake lines, and it's got a few like straps that are bolted up to the firewall. Okay, so you can see now how much of the harness I got taken off. Yeah, now we're gonna get to the good stuff, to the harder part. So let's figure out how we're gonna do that. So either way, we're not using this wiring harness for anything. So my plan to begin with was to cut it out over here on the passenger side of the firewall. I was gonna cut it out over here anyways, either over here or on the inside. I was gonna cut it out because there's a bracket that's inside in here in the firewall that we have to mess with. That with that bracket being on, we're never gonna be able to pull that the piece that connects to the ECU through there. So what we're gonna do is cut it out here, pull the one piece out through the inside of the car. This piece is gonna come out, you know, this way. And then once we have that out, then we can mess with that bracket that's in here. Either we can maybe get to the bolt easier through this hole right here that goes to the firewall, or we break the crap out of it and make room for it. But whatever we end up doing, I think what I'm gonna do right now is start cutting the harness up to just get it out. There's a bracket on this side, a little metal like heat shield that covers the brake lines, and there's one bolt that I can't get to. There's 4 of them. I've got 3 of them, one here and then 2 over on this side, and there's one on this side. There's one on this side that is directly below, and I just can't get my hand in there to even feel where the bolt's at. So I think I'm gonna cut this and just continue on. And I mean, if I end up having to pull the engine, I pull the engine, but whatever. I mean, like I said, I have to do the rear main seal as well. So if I end up having to pull it, it's no big deal. But I really wanted to try and do it without pulling the engine. So we'll see how far I can get. Finally. So guys, you can see these brackets right here, the little ones that hold it up to the firewall. Let's see, where's the other one? This is 2 of them. Let's see, there were, I believe, 3. Yeah, there's a total of 3. One of them stayed behind since I cut the harness. It just went through that hole where it holds it in. But I'm gonna take it off regardless, because the other one should have it on there. But just keep in mind, that one's probably one of the hardest ones to get to. Now that we have that off, we can go to the inside of the car and unbolt it from the ECU, and just I think there's the ECU connector and then there's one other connector. Not exactly sure what that one goes to, but there's the big blue one for the ECU and then a smaller white one. So we'll go in there and take that one off now. All right guys, so now you come over here to the passenger side, and behind this piece of wood, you got your ECU right there, and your ECU should be bolted up. Not like this one that's not bolted up, but should be bolted up. And let's see what size. Looks like 10, so let's get that one taken off. Okay, there's that. ECU out. Now, where is that other connector? What is this? Anti-theft maybe? So there's that other connector that we got to take off. And that's it. Obviously it's going to be a lot harder when we go to put it in, but take it out and this isn't going to get used anymore, so why worry about not damaging it? Just cut the crap out. So there's all the pieces of the harness. It ended up coming out in 3 pieces, but whatever. Now I'm gonna end up having to try and remove some of these things back here, like the EGR I'm taking out, and then those heater pipes. I'm gonna take those off because I'm gonna end up doing something with them, like either just deleting these little pipes that come out of it, getting those welded shut, or we're deleting the heater altogether. Not too sure yet, but I'm gonna have to take them off regardless. So that's probably what I'm gonna do next. Get all that off and make as much room as I can right there for when I put the wiring harness back in. All right, guys, so I got pretty much everything that goes back here taken off. It still had the EGR and part of the tubes on there. I got those taken off. I still got to take this off right here. I just can't see what's getting in the way. Probably another bolt that's holding it in, but it's really hard to see, so I didn't really want to record all that because I could like barely fit my hands in there. But anyways, we got all that taken off. Here, I can show you guys. This is one of the pipes. This one was the easier one to take out. This one's a little bit more of a pain in the ass because there's you can't see where the bolts are at. You just kind of feel where they're at. And then whatever was left of the EGR valve. So got all that taken off. Don't need any of that. For any of you guys that still have this stuff on, just take it off. This is unnecessary. Car runs fine without it, so I would say just take it off, and it makes so much more room. Oh yeah, you can now see where that bolt is at. Let's see if we can see it. That metal bracket there, that one, and then you see that stud, and then right there there's the one that I couldn't get to, couldn't see. It was hard as hell to even feel where it was at, but now I can see it, so I don't know if I'm gonna leave that on there or what, because the harness has to squeeze in between that. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get to doing these valve cover gaskets now. You can see these have oil in them, so we'll get to doing that real quick. That shouldn't take too long. There we go. All 4 of the valve covers / cam covers are off. I don't know what people call them. Technically they are cam covers, but always been valve covers to me. Shit, look at that. Gardening gloves coming in clutch today. I hate wearing gloves so much, but you know, I gotta try and keep my hands kind of clean, especially with this engine. All the rubber ones that I use, they always rip. These worked out pretty well. I'm still a little dirty, but that's just from me grabbing them now, the outside of them. All right, guys, one thing that's left is to make sure to clean up all the surfaces where you got all this old silicone, and that would be on this one. On this one, it's just gonna be a little bit of dirt, maybe a little bit of silicone up here on the front and on the back. This thing here, your VTC solenoid, that one takes only silicone, so I would probably take that off and clean it up and re-silicone that thing on both of them. So let's keep going. Now we have the valve covers done, and we can move on to installing the wiring harness. So we can kind of see in there's something that's getting in the way. Like, I can barely fit, I can kind of fit like 2 fingers in there, like the thickness of my fingers inside here, and somehow this has to fit in there. So we have to figure out how we're gonna shove this through there. So from this side, you can see right there, that's where the bolt goes through from the other end, but you can't get to it because the dash is in the way. So we just gotta figure out how we're gonna get that off. I'm sure there's a way. Maybe we gotta cut it, maybe like a Dremel or something to cut that piece off, or we'll figure it out. So guys, I ended up getting this piece out, this bracket that I was fighting to get out. I spent so much time getting this stupid thing out through that hole right there. Both of those, that one is where the harness goes through, and this is where the AC comes out of. I spent so much time trying to get this crap out without pulling anything out from under the dash, because I thought it was going to be a pain in the ass. And come to find out that I could take out this part of the HVAC box. This is where the evaporator goes. And then there's another section where the heater is, and then where the blower motor goes. This was not hard at all to take off. Got the glove box out. Then I think there's like 3 or 4 bolts that hold this up, and then there's like 3 clips, and that's it. And after that, you can see exactly where that bracket would have gone, and you can get to all the bolts, which would only be 2 bolts, but still, you know, you can get to them. So I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for not doing this to begin with, but I didn't know that this came out that easy. I saw a couple videos where people took them out, but they never showed exactly how it was done. They just showed it already out of the car and just said, oh, it was a big pain in the ass to get this out, and showed you how to replace the expansion valve, which I think that's the only reason I found somebody that took this off, was because they did the expansion valve. So you get your glove box out. There might be a few more bolts on yours than it was on this car. This one was missing a couple pieces, but you get your glove box out. It wasn't too hard. It was pretty self-explanatory. You know, you find the bolts that you need to get off, get the glove box piece out, and then this one, you got these 2 on the bottom, you got that one on the top, and then let's see, where did I put them? You're gonna have 3 clips. One side holds it up to the blower motor on the right side, and then the other ones hold it up to the heater side. And that's it. Once you get those off, you're able to wiggle it out, and that's it. I mean, as long as you don't have AC on your car, and if you did, you know, you would just have to drain it so that you could get it out. But in this case, this guy is not running AC anymore, and he wanted to get most of this crap out anyways, so it was okay that I ended up having to take this out. So for you guys doing this, it just, you know, once you get all that disassembled over there, you can come over here, get your glove box out, this box where you got the evaporator and expansion valve out, and then you got all the space in there for the other end of the wiring harness. Also, real quick, another thing that I did, I ended up making these block offs for those coolant pipes that go to the heater core, because it's also not using the heater anymore. So there's one there, and the other one, I don't think we can, oh, maybe we can barely see it, is right here. I made those out of some aluminum that I had laying around. So I cut them out of this. It's not super thick, but it's sturdy enough. I think it'll hold up. On my last engine, I had used these, and I cut these pieces off, and I had this welded shut for both of them, and it worked perfectly fine. So, I mean, obviously the only difference is that this one's way thicker and it's steel compared to this one that's aluminum. But we're gonna find out, because I did them on this engine, and I also did them on my engine for my Z. So if they don't work out, we can always get those other pieces welded just like they were on my previous engine. But anyways, guys, now we can get to getting that wiring harness in so we can finish this up, because this has honestly been here for way too long. I should have been done with this a long time ago, but I just kept putting it off, and then thinking that I had to do it, you know, the way that I was doing it originally. And it probably wouldn't have taken as long as it took me, but so we all make mistakes, but you know, that's how we learn. So now we just now we know what we got to do for the next time we do this. So to start, I think what we're gonna have to do is feed the harness in through that space right there. And I don't think it should be too bad, but the end that goes into the firewall, we have to feed in this way. So we start with doing that. Most of it's put together right now. At least you can see that we got the harness in. There's a few brackets I still got to put back together, but for the most part, you know, it's not as bad as I thought. I was getting really worried there. I was thinking that I was gonna have to just pull the engine or something, because there's not a lot of space. But now that, you know, I've gotten all these deletes done, got a few of these brackets out that I couldn't get originally, it was super easy to go back in. It really didn't take more than like 5 minutes to route it through again. Let's see, the other thing I was going to talk about is this part of the harness here. If yours is still like in the factory location, it's going to go like this across the front of the engine, and your PTU is going to be right here. But for the most part, we don't put them back there anymore. We try and hide them somewhere away from the engine, so they're not getting all the heat from the engine and then failing because of that. So usually they get relocated here or somewhere a little more hidden, which I might actually do. I might put it somewhere else, but who knows? Maybe I'll just leave it there too. So all we got left now is to finish reassembling this. I got a couple PCV hoses I needed to get to put the plenum back on, but that should be it. We just pop the plenum back on and hopefully get ready to start this thing up again. There it is, everything put back together. I'm probably gonna double and triple check this to make sure that everything is put back together, but I think I got it all on there. So it's a bit late right now. I think it's like 12:30. I'm gonna probably turn this on in the morning because I know it's gonna be loud. That way we can see how it runs, and hopefully everything is good. Then we'll see about the rear main seal. I think that it's not gonna be leaking. This car originally had a leak from the oil tree, so I think that that was the main leak that was making it look like it was all over. So hopefully that's all it is, but once we have it running, we'll see. So I'll come back to you guys in the morning and see how it runs. Moment of truth, let's see if this thing's gonna start up. The battery's super dead, so hopefully this jumper starts the car. Okay, so that didn't work. Battery was bad. I had to go get another battery. And I had to make sure that the wiring was correct, which it wasn't. I had to go through and switch a couple wires because some of these just didn't line up right, or they could go in two different spots, like they were able to reach. And I just didn't like how they looked. I was like thinking maybe it's not in the right spot. So luckily I still had this other harness, and I went through the wiring diagram and made sure that they were the correct ones, and now they're the correct ones. So now it should start, hopefully. So let's try it one more time. All right, so it runs, but we seem to have a misfire on cylinder 1, so I got to figure out whether it's the coil or the injector. And we know it ran before, so who knows what could have happened. Hopefully it's something simple, like since I was moving these wires around, hopefully I didn't pull one out, like a pin out of the connector. So we'll see real quick what happened. Okay, so I ended up checking the wiring on cylinder 1, which that's the one that was misfiring. The wiring all seems fine. The spark plug was loose, and I don't remember checking the spark plug, but maybe I left it loose. I don't know. The spark plug was loose. I decided to swap it out with another one that I had that's a known good one. I have more coils if I need to switch them out, but the wiring seems fine. It all checked out, so let's try it again. So it seems to be idling pretty well now. So maybe it was just that one spark plug, but being that one spark plug was loose, I'm gonna go through and check all of them. Pretty sure that I must have loosened them thinking that we were gonna replace the spark plugs. But since this thing's been here for a little bit, so I'd work on it a couple hours here and there whenever I had a chance, when I was home and when I wasn't doing stuff with my family. So I'm just gonna have to go through and check them just to make sure. But aside from that, it was running just how it was before. Well, after I figured out what was wrong with it. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for this one. If I have anything else to do to this car, then it'll be on the next video. But I'm pretty sure that was it. We could finally get started on mine with doing the engine bay and getting that engine back in there, because that thing's been down for way too long. So I know this video's dragged on for pretty long. It's probably going to be a pretty long one. And if you watched it all the way through, thank you for watching it. And hopefully, if you're doing the wiring harness, this kind of helps you out. If you didn't like it, let me know. Maybe then I can figure out what I got to do differently when I make these videos. And if you didn't watch it all the way through, you can suck. Just kidding. See you on the next one. Peace.